friends, or actually borrowing a phrase from Swami Vivekananda, who at the World's Parliament of Religions in Chicago in 1893 started his talk by saying, "My dear brothers and sisters," for which he got a standing ovation. Let me borrow a phrase from him and say, "My sisters and brothers." Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you. Thank you, Srini, for the honor of asking me to speak. When Srini asked me to speak on Control Your Mind, Control Your Destiny, I really wasn't sure why he wanted me to speak, because I'm a learner, I'm a traveler, very much like all of you, make my own mistakes. But I have learned not to question Srini, so I'll do my best to try and make the next few minutes with you hopefully useful to you. So when you think about your destiny, let's start with that. Because destiny in some sense is the culmination of a race. But what race are we running really? And so we think of destiny, what matters to us in our destiny? So one of them is we want to be happy. And the other thing is, in a very morbid sense, our destiny for our bodies is to be returned to the earth, whether through cremation or burial, whatever the case might be. But the way we become immortal is by living in the minds of others. And that hopefully is one of the elements of destiny that you're thinking about. But actually, being happy and being immortal through what you leave in other people's minds and hearts are actually highly correlated. They actually could be one and the same. So let me share with you what I mean by that. So if your happiness is based on material possessions, on what you have, maybe having more than anybody else, you will never be satisfied, because there will always be somebody who has more than you. Once you acquire something, yes, for a fleeting moment, you get some satisfaction, but then it becomes stale, it becomes old. Then you want something else. You want something to satisfy that same desire, the want of getting something, and you will always be on this treadmill. And like I said, there will always be somebody who has more than you. In fact, there's only one person on the earth at any one time who will have the most than anybody else does. But even he or she will be busy looking over their shoulder to see that nobody has more than him. So it really is not worth it. But if your happiness is based on making other people happier, by giving them joy, easing their suffering, then what does it mean for somebody to have more than you? Well, what it means is that they have made other people more happy than you have. Well, then you have won, because your goal was to bring happiness and joy in the first place. So by thinking about what does happiness mean to you, by making happiness be what you bring to others as opposed to material possessions, you will have gone from a game which you always lose, where material possessions was everything, to a game in which you always win, where being happy, making other people happy, you'll always win. Either you've made them happy, or someone has made them happier than you have, in which case you're happy as well. But controlling the mind, for some of you, this will come naturally. For others, it may be a learned trait, but it can be something that can be learned. This is like a muscle. And in fact, my belief, by the way, I'm ignoramus about our the yogas and the shastras, but I know this much, that I believe this is the essence of yoga, of shastra, of what Srini is trying to do here, of every religion and every learned person on the earth. So let me give you a couple of simple examples from my life that have worked for me. And again, I say this not because I've reached any epitome of learnedness or happiness or any such thing. I'm just giving you some tricks, if you will, some hacks that have worked for me. Hopefully they'll work for you as well. And our time together will have been worth it for you. So one of them, sort of starting small, is to be vulnerable, is to try and let go of your ego. And let me give this example, right? So there was... when I joined HP Labs many, many years ago, I was this young whippersnapper, and there was this person who'd been there for a number of years, and I was asked, in a very short order, to lead the team. And I could see this person, his name was David. He was kind of upset, because I think he thought maybe, he's been there longer, he deserved to be leading the team. And I could see the tension. I could see that this wasn't not good for the team, but it wasn't good for him either. So what I did was I said, "Hey, David, can we have a chat?" And he said, "Sure," and went to a room. And I said, "David, I can see that we're not working well together. I can see that something's bothering you." And if it's something I did, I apologize, because I never meant to. I respect you. I want us to work together. And what happened was, just by being vulnerable, just by acknowledging him, by acknowledging his emotions, it all melted away. And he said, Oh, nothing's the matter at all. And thanks for asking me. And from then on, we had an excellent relationship, and it was excellent for him, excellent for the team, and excellent for me as well. So here's a very small example. And again, I'm not saying this because I'm particularly good at this. There are many cases where my ego has got the better of me, and I've not followed my own preaching. But this is one example that's worked for me, and I recommend you try it sometime as well. Is let go of your ego, be vulnerable, and focus on the other, and you'll find that the person reciprocates. The person is a human being; they want to be acknowledged, and they'll reciprocate, and that'll be good for everybody. The other trick that's worked, and this has worked particularly well, I wish I'd known this when I was a kid myself, has worked with our kids. So we have two daughters, they're 25 and 23 now, is every day we'd ask them. So, as you can imagine, when you ask your kids when they come back from school, how was school today? And the answer was fine. And he said, no, tell me more. And you wouldn't get more. So we sort of made this tradition where every day, and I was traveling a lot at that time. So even when I was traveling, I'd call in every day before they went to sleep and sort of chat with them. And these were the questions they had to answer. So the question I had to answer was, what did you do today to make someone smile? And the reason I asked that question, by the way, the reason I asked all these questions, I'll tell you the 4 questions. The reason I asked these questions was a little selfish because I want to know what happened to them because I love my kids dearly. They're my life. But I also wanted them to almost relive their day again with me, right? So because time passes very quickly. And the last thing is, most important thing is I want to be self-aware, right? So this question of what to make someone smile, what I was trying to do is help them think about the things that made someone smile, which actually, interestingly, brought a smile to their face again, that they brought a smile to somebody else. The other thing I was trying to do was inculcate in them that making someone else smile was more important than something that they may have acquired themselves, right? So I wanted to make sure they understood that making people smile, bring happiness was important to them. So that's one question. And by the way, you'd get all sorts of great answers. When the kids were young, it would be, Megan fell off the swing and I gave her a hug, or Tommy was being chased by the other boys and I sat down with him. It doesn't matter what. It just is such a beautiful experience talking to kids, talking to others about what did they do to make someone smile. And it just brings happiness all over the world, right? All over the conversation, to them, to you. And it's a great thing to behold. The other thing was, what did you do today that you wish you had not done? And the corollary is, what did you not do today that you wish you had done? And again, this is for them to be self-aware and sort of think about that, such that they would behave perhaps differently the next day. The next one was, what did you learn today? What do you know now that you did not know yesterday? Right? Because if you ask them what they learned, typically the answer is nothing. I learned, But if you ask them, what do you know today you didn't know yesterday? Even if it is something as simple as, I don't like this subject. It was something, again, I want them to be aware that learning is important, right? And every day you have to increase your knowledge. And the last one was, what do you have to be thankful for today? And again, the idea was to be thankful, to not have expectations that everything was about them. Back to the first question about what do you make someone smile, but then gratitude, because I truly believe gratitude is the root of all happiness. So you can see that for me, these practices were the ones that helped me train my mind, hopefully helped me train my children's mind, such that they could control their destiny. But the destiny was to be happy themselves, or the destiny was to be immortal in living in the minds and the hearts of others, again, through happiness. So that's what I've learned. I hope this is useful to you. Srini, again, thank you very much for the honor of asking me to speak. And I very much look forward to hopefully getting a chance to meet some of you in person, and Srini to be help you in your journey with the Yoga Center as well. So with that, thank you. Namaste.